war started in March 1689 when James II arrived in Ireland, aiming to overturn the glorious revolution of November 1688. The revolution had replaced him with his nephew William III and daughter Mary II. To suppress a potential uprising in Bandon, the government deployed the Irish Army, led by Captain Daniel O'Neill. They entered the town during Sunday church services. The following day, known as Black Monday, townspeople rebelled, killing 3 to 8 redcoats and forcing the rest out. Protestants, armed with captured weapons, fortified Bandon. Upon learning of the rebellion, Tyrconnell in Dublin sent 6 infantry companies under experienced Irish Catholic soldier Justin McCarthy. Instead of attacking Bandon immediately, McCarthy seized Cork, a Protestant hub, and suppressed dissent. He then moved to Bandon with infantry, cavalry, and artillery. Despite displaying a no-surrender banner, the defenders negotiated surrender for favorable terms. Despite the typical punishment being death, the town corporation was fined £1,000 and the walls were ordered demolished. These lenient terms, part of King James's attempt to show goodwill to Protestants, angered hardline Catholics, including McCarthy's nephew Lord Clancarty, who sought a harsher punishment for the rebels. In the north, James's commander was Richard Hamilton, an experienced soldier who served with the French military. On the 8th of March, Hamilton marched north from Drogheda with 2,500 men to subdue the Williamites by force. On the 14th of March, he crossed the River Lagan and attacked a 3,000-strong Williamite force under Lord Mount Alexander at Dromore. Alexander's cavalry fell back in disorder following a charge by the Jacobite dragoons. Seeing this, Hamilton ordered a general advance of his infantry, and the Williamite foot fled towards Dromore itself. They were overtaken in the village by the James cavalry and slaughtered, with roughly 400 being killed and the rest fleeing for their lives. During this period, Tyrconnell's restructuring of the Irish Army had made significant progress, resulting in few units with substantial Protestant members. One exception was Viscount Mountjoy's regiment, a Protestant loyal to James, stationed at Derry. Considering Mountjoy's regiment unreliable, Tyrconnell, on November 23rd, ordered it to march to Dublin. However, the replacement regiment under MacDonald was not ready, leaving Derry without a garrison. On December 7th, with MacDonald's regiment prepared to cross the Foyle River at Derry's Ferry Quay Gate, 13 apprentices took control of the city's quays and locked the gates. This act marked Derry's open rebellion against Tyrconnell and James II, who was already in exile in France. MacDonald lacked the strength to forcibly take the town and withdrew to Coleraine. On March 12th, James's army of 6,000 French soldiers landed in the south of Ireland at Kinsale. James took Dublin and marched northward with Irish support. Carrying the slogan, "Now or never, now and forever," the army advanced towards the resistant city of Derry. Hamilton proceeded to Coleraine and arrived on the 27th of March. James had dispatched Lieutenant General Rosen, the French commander-in-chief, northward with an army. The two armies joined forces near Strabane on the way to Derry. On April 13th, the vanguard of James, including cavalry, was observed approaching Derry. In response, Lundy convened a war council and decided to defend a line along the River Finn near Strabane, southwest of Derry. Passes over the river at Castlefin, Clady, Long Causeway, and Lifford were fortified. On April 15th, the cavalry vanguards of James's armies, led by Hamilton and Rosen, attacked this defensive line. Hamilton's cavalry assaulted Castlefin and Clady on the Jacobites' left wing. Castlefin repulsed them, led by the regiment under John Mitchelburn. However, at Clady, cavalry under Richard Hamilton and Berwick swam through the river, overpowering the defenders. Rosen's cavalry targeted the right wing, attacking Lifford, where Jacques de Fontanges, Comte de Maumont, crossed the river with his cavalry, breaking through the defenses. After the defeat at the passes on April 15th, the English sent reinforcements to Derry. On the same day, Colonel Cunningham and Colonel Richards arrived at Lough Foyle aboard the frigate HMS Swallow, led by Captain Wolfran Cornwall, along with 9 transport ships carrying about 1,600 men in total. Cunningham, following Governor Lundy's orders, was assigned to defend the town. However, Lundy, demoralized by the recent defeat, believed the town was lost. On April 16th, he held a council of war with Cunningham and Richards, excluding most local commanders. Lundy suggested not landing the troops and abandoning the town, citing insufficient provisions for defense. All present agreed, and though Lundy kept this decision secret, the townspeople noticed many departing gentry and officers heading to the river to board the ships. Cunningham's fleet, initially waiting for Lundy on April 17th, eventually left without him. The ships briefly stopped at Green Castle on April 18th and sailed for England on April 19th. Lundy, disguised as an ordinary soldier, later left the city and took a ship to Scotland. Having broken through the passes, Hamilton reached Derry on the 18th of of April and called for the city's surrender. The defenders requested a 2-day delay before a parley and insisted that the James army should halt at St. Johnston and not come closer. However, when King James joined the army, Rosen suggested that the king should directly appeal to his subjects in the town, believing they would submit to their king. The effect was the opposite. The men on the wall interpreted this act as a breach of their agreement with Hamilton, and when James and his retinue rode up to within 300 yards of Bishopsgate and summoned the town, cannons were fired at them. On the 19th of April, the town council appointed Henry Baker as governor of Derry. Baker put George Walker in charge of the stores. On the 20th of April, King James sent Claude Hamilton, 4th Earl of Abercorn, with a final proposal to the walls. Murray talked with him and rejected it. James returned to Dublin with Rosen and left the forces before Derry under Mont's command. However, Richard Hamilton also stayed and was of equal rank. Both had been promoted lieutenant general quite recently. On April 21st, the besieged forces, led by Murray, conducted a sally, resulting in the killing of Mont, an event also known as the Battle of Pennyburn. Command then shifted to Richard Hamilton. Subsequently, on April 23rd, Fort Culmore at the mouth of the River Foyle surrendered to James. On May 7th, Williamite England officially declared war on France, formalizing the ongoing events around Derry since April 18th. By this time, 2 French generals, Mont and Poussinyon, had already perished in the siege. On May 11th, a French fleet landed additional equipment and troops at Bantry Bay in southwestern Ireland, engaging in the inconclusive Battle of Bantry Bay against an English fleet. By May 30th, the besiegers received heavy guns and mortars, significantly enhancing their artillery capabilities. Matthew Plunkett, the 7th Baron Luth, and De Pointus were in charge of the mortars, strategically placed on the right bank of the river. They fired almost 600 explosive shells into the town. On May 17th, Major General Percy Kirke sailed from Liverpool with 3 men of war and 24 transport ships carrying 4 regiments, about 3,000 men. The convoy arrived in La Foyle early in June. On June 4th, Richard Hamilton ordered a storming of the town, but the James's men were ultimately repelled. In an effort to expedite the siege, James sent Rosen to Derry, arriving between June 17th and 24th. Rosen brought the regiment Fitzgerald from Trim. On June 21st, Berwick was dispatched south with a detachment to deter the Enniskilleners, while Rosen intensified the bombardment. On the 2nd of July, Rosen gathered Protestants from the surroundings under the wall. In response, the besieged threatened to kill prisoners. Hamilton reported this to James, who disagreed with Rosen's measure, labeling it as barbarous Muscovite. Frederick de Schomberg, appointed commander-in-chief by William, instructed Kirke to launch an attack. On July 28th, Kirke sent 4 ships to the mouth of the River Foyle in an attempt to bring food into Derry. The ships, including HMS Dartmouth and 3 merchant vessels, Mountjoy, Phoenix, and Jerusalem, engaged in the operation. Dartmouth, under Captain John Leake, faced shore batteries, while Mountjoy, commanded by Master Michael Browning, rammed and breached. Subsequently, Mountjoy and Phoenix sailed up to Derry, successfully delivering much-needed food. Realizing that the blockade was no longer effective and lacking the troops for a storming attempt, Rosen decided to lift the siege. On the 1st of August, the besieged discovered that the enemy had departed. Kirke officially reported the raising of the siege to London. On the 3rd of August, the city endured a siege lasting 105 days, from April 18th to the 1st of August, with around 4,000 casualties reported among its garrison of 8,000. On the 31st, an army led by Justin McCarthy Mountcashel on behalf of James attacked Enniskillen but was defeated at Newtown Butler. The confrontation led to more than 1,500 casualties, and Mountcashel, the leader, was captured. A second significant wave of reinforcements, led by the veteran Huguenot commander Frederick Schomberg, was assembled. Eager to march towards Dublin before winter, Schomberg aimed to swiftly reduce Carrickfergus. On the 14th of August, anticipating an imminent siege, the James army set fire to the town's suburbs to eliminate cover for the besiegers. Despite efforts to prepare Carrickfergus for defense, many of its fortifications were in disrepair from lack of recent use. On the 20th of August, Schomberg marched to Carrickfergus with 5 regiments, followed by another 7 the next day, joining forces with newly arrived Enniskillen troops under General Percy Kirke. Skirmishes began around the town on the same day. Schomberg sent a surrender ultimatum, but the defenders sought time to consult King James for advice. Considering it a delay tactic, Schomberg rejected the request. That night, the Williamites dug trenches to approach the walls, prompting intense exchanges of fire. During this period, Schomberg's artillery targeted strategic points in the town, including Lord Donegal's house, which had been taken over by the defenders. Carrickfergus Castle, initially spared, became a target. Despite Schomberg taking on additional engineering duties after his chief engineer's injury, infantry and cavalry reinforcements arrived by boat. During negotiations, Schomberg rejected projected a demand for the garrison's surrender with honors and insisted on unconditional surrender. Some in the garrison were willing to agree to the terms, but a determined group led by Colonel Owen McCarthy and Governor McCarthy Moore chose to resist. A breach near the north gate was created by Williamite fire, but the defenders attempted nighttime repairs on the defenses. To intensify the pressure, Schomberg ordered Royal Naval vessels in the harbor to join the bombardment. Despite sufficient food stocks, the garrison faced a shortage of gunpowder. By the evening of August 27th, with a Williamite regiment poised for assault, the James Army raised a white flag and agreed to surrender. Schomberg, reversing his earlier stance, granted them the honors of war, allowing the garrison to march to Newry with weapons and baggage. Many buildings in the town suffered damage during the artillery duel. On the morning of August 28th, the garrison, accompanied by families and camp followers, marched out of Carrickfergus. A cavalry escort under Sir William Russell accompanied them part of the way towards James-controlled Newry.